So welcome to the TÜV SÜD Insight during the World Hydrogen Week. Today with us we have Jorge Bravo Torres, Business Development Manager for Iberdrola. Welcome, Jorge.
Thank you so much, Lynn, for inviting me and Iberdrola to this chat. I think it is always a pleasure to exchange different opinions and ideas with hydrogen experts, and even more in this kind of huge events as it is the World Hydrogen Congress. So thank you so much.
It's our pleasure to have you here, Jorge. As the first question, would you please explain to us how has been your personal journey to hydrogen?
I would say that my personal journey into hydrogen started some years ago during my university stage, where as an engineer I started to learn about the different technical aspects of the different electrolyzers. And especially during my master thesis, I started to research by my own the current multiple applications of the hydrogen, and not only the current application, but also the multiple applications that the hydrogen is going to have in all those sectors where the electricity is not possible, or at least is not feasible, either technically or economically. Then in 2021, I joined to TÜV SÜD as hydrogen services business developer for the Spanish market. I was working 6 months in Madrid and 6 months in Karlsruhe in Germany. And during this stage, I learned a lot about how the different stakeholders, especially in Germany and in Spain, but also about the different certification schemes, how the different safety measurements of the hydrogen, and so on. Then in September 2022, I joined to Iberdrola, to the Global Hydrogen Business Development team in Madrid. And here I learned in depth about the development of different renewable hydrogen projects in a leader and in a pioneer company as it is Iberdrola in this sector. Last but not least, less than 2 months ago, I joined to the German hydrogen team based in Berlin. Here Germany is of course a core country for Iberdrola, not only for Iberdrola, for the hydrogen business, for developing projects.
Okay, so already a very international experience between Spain and Germany, so in the heart of Europe. And then, Jorge, I would like to shift our attention on the cost of hydrogen. So right now, one of the blocking factors for many business cases is the high cost of hydrogen. How do you think we should move forward and decrease the cost of hydrogen as it has happened for other forms of renewables?
Well, this is a really good question. I would say that the way for moving forward in terms of cost reduction is by massively implementing new hydrogen projects. I mean, because by implementing new hydrogen projects, the manufacturer of equipment are going to be able to move from the pre-industrial stage, where they are now, to an industrial stage where by automating and optimizing the current processes, they are going to be able to increase the availability, to increase the performance of these equipment, and therefore to reduce the cost of the electrolyzers. In addition, I think it's really important to keep in mind that the cost of the hydrogen is going to depend always on the cost of the electricity. I mean, so the competitiveness of the hydrogen is going to be always linked to have as cheap renewable energies as many hours as possible per year. And here I think, Iberdrola is a leader in this technology because we are not only stepping up the hydrogen business, but also we are stepping up the renewable energy business. We have now 40 gigawatts of renewable energy installed capacity worldwide, and we are going to double this capacity by 2030. So our target by 2030 is to have 80 gigawatts of renewable energies installed capacity by 2030. So I think also I would like to add that it's really important to forget all these kind of false messages about the hydrogen, like that the cost of the hydrogen is €1 per kilogram, it's going to be €1 per kilogram by 2030, or that the cost of a hydrogen project is like €1 million per megawatt, because for several reasons. The first one, because these kind of false messages are not close to the reality. And the second one, how can I explain the second one? Okay, imagine that you are a hydrogen consumer. Would you sign an HPA, a hydrogen purchasing agreement, for the next 15, 20, 25 years if you believe or if you think that the cost of the hydrogen is going to be €1 in 2030?
then the volume is a determining factor for the success of hydrogen and for hydrogen to become more affordable in the future. So how do you see we should move in order to reach the economy of scale?
Well, I would say that the way for promoting the most important way for promoting the economies of scale is the regulation. Because if there is no obligation for the hydrogen consumers to switch from the natural gas, from the grey hydrogen that they are consuming now to the renewable hydrogen, they will not do it. Because the grey hydrogen or the natural gas is cheaper than the renewable hydrogen. So I think it's really important to legislate at a global level. And I think here the obligations and the certifications are going to be key for ensuring the development of hydrogen projects, of renewable hydrogen projects during the next year. In addition, I think it's really important the public support. And with public support, I mean the grants and the subsidies in enough quantities and at the right time, especially in this early stage of development for hydrogen projects where we are now. So to sum up, I will say that it's really important to coordinate the public, the legislative and the private support for achieving all these economies of scale.
Okay, and how do you see the role of certification then in all this?
Yeah, well, I would say the certifications are absolutely necessary for several reasons. Okay, I think it's really important for all the stakeholders in the hydrogen world to get a deep idea about what are the renewable products, what are the conditions to be renewable, and how all these conditions are going to be measured. What are the renewable products? What is the green steel, for example? What is the renewable ammonia? What is the renewable hydrogen? And for instance, the renewable hydrogen was defined only like 5 months ago or something like this by the delegated acts. Then, what are the conditions to be renewable? So, following with the example of the hydrogen, of the renewable hydrogen, what is the additionality? What is the temporal correlation? What is the CO2 emission reduction? And last, how all these conditions are going to be measured. So, how is going to be measured the additionality? How is going to be measured the hourly correlation, for example, from 2030? How is going to be measured the CO2 emission reduction? So, if you want to transport the hydrogen, for example, from Spain to Rotterdam, for example, how is going to be measured these CO2 emissions during this transport? I think this is really important, and I think here the certification schemes, like for example Certify, or the certification bodies, like for example TÜV SÜD, are going to be crucial for ensuring that all the stakeholders are playing with the same rules, or at least with the same rules in the same locations.
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree with you. Certification is essential for global market access, and this is just a fact. And also the presence of stable and clear regulations are also, let's say, the enabler for the hydrogen ecosystem to exist and to thrive. Then my question to you is, what is Iberdrola actually doing to contribute to make the hydrogen economy a reality?
Well, in Iberdrola we are leaders in this technology. We are developing 60 projects in 8 countries. We have a pipeline of 2.4 gigawatts for the period 2022-2025. We have 2 real projects which are already producing renewable hydrogen. Our first project is our hydrogen refuel station in Barcelona. This project is 2.5 megawatts for mobility. And our second project is our STAR project, is the largest electrolyzer in Europe. And this project is 20 megawatts for producing green fertilizers. And this project is only the first phase of an IPCI project for developing up to 800 megawatts of electrolyzer install capacity. In addition, we are moving one step ahead in the value chain of the hydrogen, and we are starting to develop renewable ammonia and e-methanol projects. So our target by 2030 is to achieve or to get 3 gigawatts of electrolyzer install capacity for producing up to 350,000 tons of renewable hydrogen per year, and we are going to invest 9 billion of euros for achieving all these targets.
Well, this sounds really exciting, and we're looking forward to see this as see this live and as a reality. So thank you very much, Jorge, for being with us, and looking forward to seeing you next year.
Thank you.